So we've just finished making our owl. This is my finished piece. And so I thought I'd do a follow-up video on how I slip and carve the owl. So we're gonna put this little guy aside. Okay, I'll put him right here so you can still see him. Okay, so when I use slip, so this is my little bucket of slip. You can see how thick it is. It's pretty thick. It's like heavy cream. Okay, and I use these brushes that I get from Mr. Williams at Williams Ceramic Supply. They're just glazing brushes. I don't know what they're called. He doesn't either. I've asked him several times. Or you can use a Hake brush, H-A-K-E, which is a Japanese brush that you can get off of Amazon or eBay. I'm also using, well, let me just clean this off so you can see this. This is also another Japanese brush. Okay. And they just have really loose hair. And there's a lot of those hairs, so they can soak up a lot of slip. Okay, and then I also get these brushes from Michaels, and they're just acrylic brushes, but they have a long bristle, so they can also hold a lot of slip and get into really delicate places. You can get a pack of like 9 for all different sizes for about, I don't know, $7 or $8. They're not very expensive. So those are the brushes I'm using. And so if you look at this little guy, I painted him a kind of a sage, or no, I guess a sap green on the bottom. And then this is kind of a dark orange and the bright yellow and the black. And those are the 4 colors that I'm using today. You can feel free to paint your owl any color that you would like. So, okay, so I'm going to finish painting the green box. So, the thing you have to worry about with this painting these things is just the delicate area. So, if you see right there, I got some green on his tail as I was painting him. And I also got some green on his feet. So, I'm going to take care of that. And I got a little up close there. So, this actually has been painted twice. And that's a nice... this slip is thick, so that's a nice thickness for this this box. But I am going to go and just check on some little areas. There's some green that needs to be there, like that. And then these little guys, I'm going to leave white until the very end, and then I'll paint them at the very end, and I'll lay him on a piece of foam on his side so these can dry. So I'm just checking around to see what needs a little bit of extra slip here. Okay, and then I'm going to set him down, and I'm going to clean up where I got green in places I don't want it. Okay. So see, I use these little brushes just to get in those little tiny areas. All right, so now, again, like I said, that's about 2, I'm going to move him a little bit forward. That's about 2 layers of really thick slip. If you want to make sure that you're not running into any streaks, you can always add a 3rd layer. You can also do this with underglazes because it does the same thing. It's just a little bit more expensive, but you may not have the opportunity to be making slip at home, or you may be limited to the slip colors at the studio. So you could just buy underglazes off of Clay King, or I know the Mad Platter sells underglazes in Greensboro. So you could do one or the other. If you don't feel like you're ready to go out, you can order off of Clay King. You might even be able to get some underglazes off of Amazon. I've never really tried, but I'm sure if you just Google it, you'll be able to find what you need. Okay, so I'm looking around. I'm just going to take my little X-Acto knife here. It's got a nice fine point. Let's see. And so I'm going to use that to clean off any area that I have green where I don't want it. So, such as like that. I'm going to just take this right off. And the sharpness of the X-Acto knife just really takes that slip right off. So it's nice and clean. And I'm just going to start going all the way around the bird and just taking off slip where I don't want it. And I did a pretty good job not getting a lot of extra on him. So there's a spot on his tail. Okay. And a little bit there. So I'm just taking this off. Just be careful with your X-Acto knife when you're cleaning it, not to poke yourself. I've done that many times. It doesn't feel very good. Okay, so now that I've gotten the green off, I'm going to go ahead and paint the yellow. And again, here's my yellow slip. And see, it's pretty thick. I'm going to try to let you see it over here. It's pretty thick stuff. Okay. So I'm not even going to use a big brush for his head because his head is so tiny. And I'm just going over it pretty thickly. Here we go. Now, when I think about going over the back like this, now if you look at Mr. Owl over here, his back is orange. So I'm not really worried because the orange is darker than the yellow. And so it'll just cover up that yellow. So I'm not even going to really have to scrape it off. So you can be a lot looser with the yellow than you are with the green. Okay, now I'm going to let this dry before I do anything else with the yellow, because I'm going to have to do one more coat with the yellow, but I'm just going to get his nose real quick like that. Perfect. Okay, we just set that aside. And here's my orange, and I am going to use a bigger, and this is really thick. Look how thick that is. So I'm going to stir that up, but I probably am not going to add any water to it, but I will have to the next time I use it. So, okay, so I'm just going to take a gander here. Let's just take a look at the bird. So, if we take a look at this bird here. So, we want the orange to come over and then go back with the wing, okay? So we're going to just come out a little bit and then hit the wing, and then we'll just paint orange back to here, okay? So I'm going to grab another brush, a smaller one, and I'm just going to go ahead and make that happen. So I'm just going to paint to the wing and then paint underneath it. Just going right over that yellow. So I'm going to paint along the back and all the way down to the tail. And then paint to the wing and around. Making sure to get in the nice carving that we did earlier. We're coming down the back. And this is where it gets dicey, right in that little corner right there. You're going to want to take a smaller brush and get in there so you don't put orange on top of your green. And then here we go down this way. And see what I just did? I got orange on top of the green. So I'm going to have to fix that. Okay. So, let's see. Let's go one more coat here. And you can go nice and thick. Making sure to get in those carvings. Making sure to get underneath the wing over here. Underneath there. Like that. Perfect. And then one more layer coming down. Now we want to go back and fix where we got green on the orange. So we're going to put the orange aside. Excuse me. And we're going to grab our green. And then we're just going to go right over that orange because the green is going to be dark. So we're just going to go right over that orange. Okay? And then we're going to come back Well, I didn't go quite enough there. Let me just get a little bit more right there. Okay. And then we're going to come back with the orange and get in these little spaces right there. So we're just going to go right in there, coming up the wing. And again, we're going to go right in here and just fix that. So it's a little delicate here with these glazes, but if you just take a deep breath and just go slow, you'll be fine. Okay, I think the orange looks pretty good. There. Now, let's go back with the yellow. Excuse me. And here it is. And we're just going to go back. It's a little bright. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, there we go. Okay, we're going to be really careful right here because we don't want to get yellow on the orange this time. Okay. Like that. Perfect. And just in case, we'll go one more swath right down the nose, like that. Okay. All right, I think we're pretty good with the yellow, but we did forget about the feet, and we don't want to forget about them. This foot looks like it has a little bit of green there, right there. So I'm going to work on that for a second with my X-Acto knife and just get that off. There we go. And a little bit there, and there's a little bit right there. Okay, perfect. Now his feet are white, and I'm going to come back in with this yellow and do his little toes. There. We're going to try really hard not to get yellow on the green, which I just did in a big way. Look at that. Y'all will probably do a lot better when you're doing it than I'm doing right now, because when you talk, you move, and it jars your hand a little bit, so that's when you can kind of make mistakes a little bit. But that's okay, I can fix them. I did a really messy job on those feet. Look at that. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm going to let that set up, and I'm going to do one more coat of the yellow, and then I'll take the yellow off. Okay, now we can go and think about putting the black in. So we're going to do his eyes, and we're going to do his spots. So the the barn owl has these beautiful spots. They're not black. They're like a gold color, but I just chose black for more. This is really thick. And again, just for time's sake, I'm not going to add any water to it. But I would add water to this before I used it if I was slipping a big piece. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to go and paint his little eyes. Like that. And like that. Oh, look at that. I got black on the side of his nose. Since the nose is wet, and I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Okay, so I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife and just get that. Perfect. One more little thing there. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to put yellow back on there. There we go. So see, I fixed it. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to take the black, and I'm just going to get a smaller brush, this little guy, and I'm going to put this in the lap. Okay. So I'm just going to start making little dots on his chest. And just kind of randomly. Oop, I just put black on the green. Get that off. And this happens when you're slipping, because the slip is like old paint. It just likes to go everywhere, so you may find it in places you never thought it would go. But I just kind of take my time and just clean up the mistakes as I go. Okay, and I'm just going to start doing his wing. On his back. And you can put as many or as little spots as you want. all the way down the tail. All right, I think he looks pretty good. I'm gonna make that one a little bit bigger. There, that looks pretty good. Maybe one down there, maybe one there. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna put a second coat on his eye. So just one more coat here, like that. And one more coat there. Perfect. Okay. Maybe one more polka dot there. I think that looks pretty good. Oops. No. Maybe a tiny one there and there. Okay, perfect. Now, this is the time where I'm going to go around and look and see what I've missed. So if we grab this little guy, the first thing that I see that we missed is these nice little orange feathers on the sides of his face. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. That adds a little character there to this little bird. As you're carving him, you can start thinking about what you want his name to be. Okay, so now I'm going to do some repairs here. So I'm going to start taking this yellow off the green. Well, wait. I was going to do another coat first. I'm going to put another coat of the yellow on. And that way, in case I get more yellow on the green, I only have to take it off one time. So nice big coat here. There. Yay. I love this little guy. He's already just so cute. Okay, so I'm going to take this yellow off here. There. And then there's one in the middle. Took that out. And then this little bit right there. Okay. And then I'm going to go back in with the green. Because when you take the slip off, you go back down to the white. So I'm going to go back in with the green and just put some slip here. And there. And there. Okay. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to look around and see. There's a little orange on the green there. I did get green back on that yellow. We'll just leave it for right now. Okay, and then up here, this came over his white. So we're going to need to take this stuff off because it's supposed to be white there. So I'm going to start with my little X-Acto knife and just start to pull that down. Let's see how I can do that so you can see it. I'm going to try to get my hand out of the way. Okay, there. Okay. You can also take your triangle shape tool to help you. So this is out of the Mini Kemper Ribbon Carving Tool Set. There's 2 triangles tops, 2 square tops, and 2 circle tops. So here's the circle top. Triangle and square. You can get these off of Amazon. You can get them off of eBay. They have them at Clay King. You're probably going to have to order them. I don't know if Starworks carries them or not. I think that's where most of y'all get your clay. I know for those of you who are going back into the studio, you can maybe borrow if you're new to carving and you just want to borrow somebody's tool to try them. You can. They're not that expensive. They're less than $20 a set, and if you stay with clay, you'll use them. Okay, so I got all the yellow off. It's not very clean, so I'm going to go back in with my triangle top, and I'm just going to make a line, and that way it'll be nice and clean there. So it's nice and clean. Like that. Perfect. And maybe a little bit more there. There we go. Okay, he looks very snazzy. Okay, so now there's a little yellow here on his cheek, and I want that to be white. So I'm going to try to take that off real quick. Perfect. There we go. And I'm going to take a little bit, oops, I got black on my finger. I'm going to take a little bit off of here. Oh, I just made a boo-boo. Okay. Like that. Okay, he's nice and clean now. Okay, so now we need to let everything dry really well, and then we'll carve. So I'm going to end this video, put him in front of the fan, and then I'll see you in a minute. Okay, he's been sitting in front of the fan for about 20 minutes, and he's nice and dry. He's not shiny anywhere, and that's usually how you can tell if he's got any wet slip left. You'll see a shiny spot. Okay, so now we're going to carve this little guy. And if we take a look at this fella, I like to put these little bullseyes on the boxes. So I'm going to start to do that. So I'm going to use my triangle shape tool, kind of like a pencil. And I'm just going to start to carve my bullseye. So I start with a box. Like that. And you notice I just went sideways a little bit. It's a mistake, but you know, I kind of feel like if I just shore it up a little bit, make the line a little straighter there, like that once I get the bullseye in there, it'll be okay. Okay, so I'm going to put the circle in the middle. Another circle, like and then we'll take the corners off like this. And then I take my round-headed tool here, and I'm just going to start pulling the clay out of the corners. And then I'm going to take this middle section out. Like that. Okay. And then generally I use a brush to sweep. I'm going to have to get one. Sweep the little goobers of clay away. And I forgot to bring one with me, so I'm getting one right now. And I use another type of glaze brush that has really soft bristles. So see how soft that is? And I'm just going to use that to wipe all those little goobers off. And then I'm going to go back with my tool, and I'm just going to outline and clean up these little edges where I carved the first time. So it just makes it just a little cleaner. Okay, like that. And then I'm just going to do all four of them. Now when we get to the tail back here, you're going to kind of have to fudge because the tail's in the way. So we're going to have to pretend like there was a bullseye there before the tail. So we're just going to have to fudge it a little bit. So generally I just make that will be your bullseye right there. And then do this one like that. And then we'll take out the corners. And we'll just carve that away. Take out the middle one. Okay, and then we'll go back around. So to save you a little time, I'm not going to finish doing the bullseyes because I've done two. And you can figure out how to do the rest. So we're just going to take a look and see what else we need to carve. There's not a lot. So the only thing I need to carve is around all these black dots. So I'm just going to, again, take my little pencil end, and I'm just going to start to go around these dots. Like that. And that just puts a little white line around the orange dots. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to really do on the black dots. It just gives it a little extra texture on his chest. So I typically will do a circle around the black dots, even though it's not going to show up any different color. It'll just be texture. And so you're just going to go around all of these dots until you're done. And that's it. That's how we carve Mr. Owl here. And then I just let all those little goobers set up, and then I just use my tool and I just brush them all away. And then I will take a clear glaze and glaze him. And that's the end. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.